First of all, I express my deep gratitude to Professor Rajan Verukar, who is friend, philosopher, and guide. And he has been a spirit of enthusiasm, energy, zeal, and vigor throughout my professional life as managing director of Maharashtra Knowledge Corporation Limited, where he also served on the board. I'm so delighted that now he is leading this great university, Oro University, and Aurobindo's philosophy stands for integral yoga and integral education, which is the need of the day. I'm also very happy that Don Bosco Institute of Technology and IEEE Bombay Women's Chapter have participated as co-organizers on this very important theme of the gender bias in technology. I would like to focus on certain key aspects of this topic. And for that, uh, I would begin with some historical perspective and then take you into the real theme. The first important aspect is that the the world has been beset with many hierarchies, like the racism that you find in modern Americans, which is not to be found in many of the Islamic countries. Or you see the Indian society right from medieval ages ridden by caste hierarchies, which is not to be found so much in Europe. And there are so many such divides and so many such hierarchies, I can tell you, which exist in certain geographies, in certain communities, in certain cultures, but do not exist everywhere on the planet. However, there is one hierarchy, one divide, which exists universally across all the geographies, all the cultures, all the communities, all the nations, and that is the gender divide. And it is a hierarchy in the sense that men have always succeeded in getting the better deal over the women. This is a universal and most unfortunate hierarchy and divide in the human history, because it is almost throughout the human history right from the agricultural revolution. If it is so universal, how the technology sphere can escape this bias? And that is the point of our discussion today. In order to understand what is the origin of this gender bias in technology, we have to go a little into the historic perspective. And that is, we know even in communist China, when they talk so much about equality, when the Chinese Communist Party decided that every couple will bear only one child, millions and millions of female feticide took place. And they saw to it that the female child, either in the womb or after birth, has to be killed so that they can prove that they need one more child. And till such time a boy is born, they would do that. This is very, very violent history. Not only this, but the female feticide is there in many communities in India as well, and we know that. Why this happens? What is the perspective of looking at women in all the societies across the world? It is never, none of the cultures ever gave an independent individual status to women in the past. Women were treated as a private property. Either of the father or the brother or the husband, and so on. So once you look at something as a commodity, as a property, then naturally most of the other things would follow logically. For example, if a woman is raped, you know, who is the victim? The one whose property has been raped, not the individual who has been raped, because it is not an individual at all. So what is the compensation? Compensation is a penalty to be paid to the owner rather than to the victim, because the owner is the victim. Look at another thing, the marital rape. You will be surprised that marital rape was considered to be an absurd proposition because it is equated to how can you steal your own wallet? So how can you rape your own wife? Because wife is the property, so the wife is almost equivalent to a wallet. And therefore, the question is absurd about marital rape. So much so that even the progressed, developed countries like Germany took to the year 1997 to make marital rape a legal concept. So to offer the legal status or legal category to marital rape, it took 1997 for Germany. And even today, there are more than 50 countries on this planet who do not consider marital rape as a legal category of injustice. I'm specifically mentioning Germany because in 2 world wars, the women have performed almost all roles in that country, and still it took 1997. Once you consider that the women as a private property, not an individual, the question of giving voting rights does not arise. As a result, you see even in countries like Switzerland, the voting rights to the women came in the decade of 70s. So therefore, it is, to be understood that there is a conceptual difference. And once that conceptual difference is, captured by all of you, you will get a clarity of what is the way forward. The conceptual clarity is to look at sex versus gender. We normally confuse these two words, sex versus gender. And the civilizations are so cruel that they did not even divide the people into men versus women, but also the transgender community is divided into gay versus lesbians. So we are so much prone to division. Now the whole origin of this division arises in the confusion between sex versus gender. What is sex? It is actually a biological entity. Humans are males or females. The males have XY chromosomes and the females have XX chromosomes. The females have a womb, they have ovaries, they have very little testosterone and very high levels of estrogen hormone, and they can produce milk because they can give birth to the child because they have womb. Now, a male automatically becomes a man and a female automatically becomes a woman, whereas man and woman are genders. They are not sexes. Meaning thereby that man and woman are cultural concepts and not biological. of male is ascribed all those cultural attributes of manhood, and they convert the male into man, irrespective of whether he has all those attributes which are culturally derived. And the same case with female to woman. This is the confusion from where the history begins. If you look at the 5th century BC, even the democratic Athens did not allow the individuals having womb to become judges or to take part in philosophical debate or to vote in or to participate even in assemblies. Democratic Athens I am talking about, not autocratic. And this was the divide. A biological reality was transformed into some kind of pervert human imagination, which created the so-called oppressive definition of womanhood and repressive definition of manhood. If you look at the Elizabeth period, somehow Elizabeth, even though was a female, or in that sense woman, she was at the top of the empire for 45 years. But look at the Elizabeth era, in which none of the members of parliament were women, all were men. All officers of Royal Navy and Royal Army were men. All judges and lawyers were men. All theologians and priests were men. All bishops and archbishops were men. All students and all professors of all universities and all colleges were men. And all the architects were men. All musicians and poets were men. All painters and artists were men. All philosophers and scientists were men. All mayors and sheriffs were men, and whatnot. Not an exception of a woman even to prove the rule. This happens because there is a cultural, pervert concept which has gone in, that a born female becomes a woman and is therefore not an individual, is a property. So much so that today, even in our technology field, there is a concept of electronic citizen, and it has been given voting rights. Look at that. But at that same time, there exists some countries on the planet who do not give voting rights to women. So this is the contradiction which I would like to bring before you. Now, what has happened? Now, when the female had a, XX chromosome, she still possesses XX. But a woman was illiterate, now she is literate. A female had a womb, she also possesses a womb today. But previously she was denied voting rights, today she is given voting rights. Previously she had ovaries as a female and she still has ovaries as a female. Previously she was not legally independent, she belonged to somebody as a property. Today she is legally independent. Previously she had less testosterone, and today also she as a female has less testosterone. But previously she was not able to pursue certain professions. Today she is able to pursue the professions. Previously also she had lots of estrogen. Today also she as a female has estrogen. Previously she could not decide whom to marry. Today she is able to decide with whom to marry. So what is the difference between a female and a woman? The entity called female has remained invariant because it is biological. An entity called woman has undergone tremendous transformations because it is culture. So the recipe is that if you want to remove the gender bias, you have to change culture. And the recipe to change culture was only through education. And that is where the concept of integral education is important. Because those who are engaged in pursuit of integral education will never teach biology independent of the history and the culture. When you are teaching sex organs or the reproductive system, you should not confine only to the discussion of male and female, but you should engage also in the debate about the history of gender along with the discussion on sex. You are to also engage in the discussion on the culture, which created this entity purely out of human imagination. There are theories as to why this happened. Like one is a muscle power theory. The men had strength and stamina over the women. That has been completely belied because women are doing so many works of strength and stamina across the planet. They have been exploited for that. Go to any agricultural, farm and see what kind of toil of strength and stamina the women are doing. There are obtained number of evidences that can be produced. Second theory was that of aggressiveness, that men are aggressive. And that theory also has so many contradictions and that has been disproved. Third theory is that of the patriarchal genes. Patriarchal genes means in the process of evolution, the men have tended towards more of masculinity for ambitiousness to get to a right female, competitiveness to get to impregnate a right female, a fertile female and things like that. These are funny theories which have come and engaged the scholars for decades together. All of them have been, belied. You can see the seminal work done by Yuval Noah Harari on Sapiens. And you will see the proofs, how they have been disproved. These theories have been disproved. So the important aspect is therefore integral education. And Oro University can show that direction, that whenever such biological concepts will be discussed, the historical perspective as well as the cultural perspective will be given together so that the students have correct understanding of it. Otherwise, they will, confuse between sex and gender. So these are some of the fallacies. Now, as far as the information technology goes, the careers in technology, which require certain attributes, which require certain aptitudes, which require certain attitudes, which require certain passions, which require certain capabilities, and which require some match with the societal needs of the contemporary world. The discussion about removing gender bias in technology is not just pertinent from the justice to the women. It is not just merely a justice issue. It is much more deeper issue, and I really thank Professor Rajan Velukar to have given this as a theme for this year's International Women's Day celebration. What is the more fundamental reason for us to discuss and engage with this topic is that especially in the third decade of the 21st century, the 21st year of the 21st century, we see that more and more the technology is creating a new world. And if the technology is creating new world, and if there is a gender bias in technology, then naturally it will create a new world full of bias. If we bring women in the mainstream of technology development, naturally the world that will be created will be not just smart, but will be wise. We are so much obsessed with the word smart, smart, smart in technology that we forget the wisdom part of it, which is a complementary important part of it. The world is beset to create artificial intelligence But as I work in the field, we know that, artificial intelligence cannot do the things of intrinsic human intelligence, and intrinsic human intelligence cannot do the work of artificial intelligence. I've written exhaustively on this. There are technological reasons as well as there are neuropsychological and neurophysiological reasons for this, but that is not the important aspect of our today's discussion. So these two intelligences are complementary to each other. Artificial intelligence is not our enemy. It is not our adversary. It is not our opponent. Neither it is our competitor. It can be our best and enduring partner. So the partnership between human intelligence and artificial intelligence is the future. Albert Einstein, while all these, artificial intelligence was in a very, very nascent stage, once said that computers are fast, accurate, but stupid. Human beings are slow, inaccurate, but intelligent. The two together can do incredible things. Okay, so he is also suggesting way back in 1945, the partnership between two incredible powers. One is incredibly fast, accurate, but stupid. Another is incredibly slow, inaccurate, but intelligent. And the two can do incredible things. Now, those incredible things have to be, welfare oriented, well-being oriented. And therefore, there has to be an element of wisdom, not just intelligence. So smart plus wise. And that agenda we have to bring. Now, what are the attributes that you require to come in this technology field? There are so many such things, and there have been tests, and you can refer to the research by Steve Pinker. Exhaustive research and exhaustive data has been collected by giving lots of tests to men and women, and also analyzing the enormous data of the SAT scores of, the early adolescents who are appearing for SAT examinations, male as well as females. What you see in that? What are the discussions? Status versus family is one aspect. What is taken as more important, whether status or family? Ability to have the part-time career or or intention to be fully engaged and forget about everything else. To pursue what you can say as a careerist kind of a trait of mind. Living close to parents and relatives. Having meaningful spiritual life. These are the questions which have been dealt with in finding out whether the men and women are equally capable of entering the field of technology development. In addition to that, earning the urge or passion for earning lots of money, that has also been studied. Competitiveness versus cooperation or collaborative pursuits. Inclination for collaboration rather than inclination for building competitiveness. Ambitiousness, or things like the ability to invent or create new things. Being successful in one's own line of work. Many such things have been taken. Single-mindedness, for example. Okay. Now, all these kinds of things have been found that more or less, there are differences among males and females in terms of statistically collecting the data. But I will come to that little later. Among the geniuses, irrespective of sex, these traits have been found not very different. But in common people, there are differences. The females are more inclined to live with the relatives or the parents, and they're more for family and not so much for status. They're more for collaboration, cooperation, and not so much for competition. They're more for part-time work and part-time engagement in that is more of a work-life balance kind of thing and things like that. There are certain other traits like the desire to work with people or with things. It is found that the female desire to work more with people, the male more with this thing. Of course, these are not kind of straitjacket rules that every person, every last person will, if he is a male, he will work with things, and if she is a female, she will work with people. It's not like that statistically among the large volumes of data. Risk-taking. Similar things have been found. Then 3D, spatial visualization abilities. The mathematical calculations, the girls have been found to be superior in SAT score, and the mathematical problem solving, the boys have been found superior in terms of scores. The computational abilities, the computational thinking abilities, the knowing of minds of other people, mathematical reasoning, etc., again are differentiators. But it is to be understood correctly that whether these are the causes of the cultural identities which are given to them as men and women, or these are the consequences of the cultural identities given to the boys and girls as they grow from the childhood. I do not know whether it is the cause or whether it is the consequence. I do not know. We have to dig more into the research and see what it is. Perhaps the XX chromosome and XY chromosome do not differentiate them onto so many the abilities and attributes. Perhaps these must be the consequences of our cultural imaginations. The most unfortunate and the ultimate, unfortunately most ultimate human imagination is this idea of gender and the gender stereotypes and the roles that these stereotypes can play. This has been the history. So, in order to overcome this, what we can do in technology? You know that the famous battle which is going on currently last few weeks between Google and Tinmit Gebru, one Ethiopian lady who was the employee of Google, and she resigned, as Google says, and she has been removed, what she says. But that is again on the issue of, the violence creating, the divide creating, interpretations of languages which are more inclined towards racism, more violence, more gender discrimination and things like that, So she is now fighting. She is even bringing an environmental perspective, in the sense that the Google's bird takes so much of compute power and therefore so much of electrical power that so much of carbon dioxide emission is taking place when you translate from one language to the other by using artificial intelligence and things like that. We have to remember that there is a big data. On the basis of the big data, there is a machine learning, and based on the machine learning, there are artificial intelligence algorithms which are created. Base is the data. So if the data has discrimination, if the data has biases, then the next two steps will have biases. So we have to guard against it. The corpuses of data have to be free, and therefore large number of people have to be brought into the field of using information technology and contributing to it, because ultimately it's a collaborative exercise. The data cannot be a private property. There is a lot of discussion on privacy, but data is something which is not like gold. You can keep it in your cupboard. It can be copied. It can be pirated. So private property is not the solution. The corporate possession of data is even dangerous. And nowadays it is seen that, when it is in corporate possession, then it can be used to decide who should be the American president. As all of you know, the cases in the previous elections, the election when Trump got elected. And it cannot be state possession, because states can also use it coercively. So there has to be a universal, common property of all the humankind. The data has to be universal common property of all the, so it is more of a movement of commons, creative commons. They should possess, the entire humankind should possess the data, not the state, not the corporation, not the private person. So in that direction we have to go. Then these biases will get removed in technology. So data is the real oil of 21st century. Now, looking at the more practical aspects of it, that we have to start from the school. We have to bring the clarity before the girls that there are no stereotypes of roles in the industry. All can perform those roles. Then only there will be increasing percentages of women enrollment in engineering colleges, which Professor Rajan Velukar rightly mentioned, that it is almost like 80-20 kind of scenario there. Dangerous. So first important thing is right from school we have to start and bring the exposure to various careers in information technology and show that the girls equally possess the necessary, attributes and abilities and capabilities, and, they can discover the passions, because the child of a human being never gets on the platter that these are your, passions, these are your capabilities. It never gets. The child of a human being has to discover, because human brain develops only after its birth by interacting with environment, unlike the other brains of other animals. Because Homo erectus has to stand on its 2 feet, and because of the, monkey bone, it is very difficult for a female to produce a child. She requires another female as a help, which is not there in case of chimpanzees or apes or our similar, relatives. So she requires a lot of help, and that's why the brain is purposely kept evolutionarily small, which will develop after it has been born. So it interacts with, environment, and it is more of a nurture than nature. So we can develop the girls to believe that they can also make, so their passions have to be discovered. There has to be a school which is not Bandi Shala but Sandhi Shala. Okay, it should give opportunity for discovery of passion, discovery of abilities and capabilities, and building them in terms of skills and competencies. First thing. Second thing is that breaking the stereotypes of roles, for which you require to present large number of role models before them. Unless you see that other ladies are going ahead, you don't feel like taking that. It's a common, unless you are exceptional. So it has to be mainstreaming of those roles and bringing the role models. And there are a large number of them now, fortunately so. But we have to bring those ladies from the industry into the schools and, make them talk to the girls and, generate a confidence and instill that kind of inspiration and things like that. Third important thing is blind hiring. That is, we must persuade companies that they will never ask the sex or the gender in their application form, because lots of artificial intelligence engines nowadays, filter the female gender. Very careful we have to be. So blind hiring is very important. Women representatives to be there on the selection panels. Wise women representatives to be there on the selection panel. Then we have to have the policies for pay parity. We have to have the parity for the positions in the hierarchy. That same age male and same age female will normally have the identical hierarchy, provided they have identical work experience and relevance of that work experience. Very important. Just because she may be pregnant, she should not be, denied that promotion or that role or that designation. In fact, every pregnancy should be celebrated in the company. That should be the policy. We do that in MKCL. For the last 2 decades, we celebrate pregnancy. So I have a large number of lady employees who very freely, go for pregnancy, and then they enjoy the full continuity in the service in MKCL. Finally, I would say that the technology can also do one great contribution when the girls join in a big way, is all this virus of gender bias, which has crept into technology. This gender bias, that has crept or in the technology can be removed by more participation of the girls, who can create some kind of antivirus for this gender bias virus. Or they can write, anti-ransomware for this gender bias ransomware. And that is what we should look at. The same is to be done for democracy. We have to create antivirus for, all tendencies on social media to kill our democracy. We have to protect our democracy, because more democracy will be threatened by technology, and it has to be also protected by different types of, qualitatively different types of technologies, not just quantitatively. So these are some of the challenges. So there is a sex versus gender understanding, difference versus discrimination, that has to be understood correctly. Nature versus culture. Nature has given us all enabling conditions. The culture is forbidding us. So we have to change the culture. The fairness versus sameness. Men and women, male and female will never be same, but fairness can prevail to give same opportunities to both. That is a debate. The debate has to be also about equality of enabling conditions rather than mere equality of opportunities. You have to bring enabling conditions to be identical first, then equality of opportunities. There is a condition, there is a discussion that has to go for the facts versus imagination. We have to go by facts and not just human imagination of giving lower stature in the hierarchy to the men, to the women above the below the men. And the debate also has to be about mind versus mindset. What comes in our mind and what are our old mindsets? We have to overcome them. So these are the discussions that are necessary to remove the gender bias. Finally, on a very lighter note, I will conclude by stating one very blatant statement of a feminist journalist in United States. Her name is Gloria Steinem. Gloria Steinem says that there are very few jobs that actually require a penis or a vagina, and all the other jobs should be open to both the sexes. Thank you.